This is what happened when Carlos and Ebony January say the landlord did a shoddy job of repairing a leak in their Dallas rental home.
He didn't cut the electricity off before he even drilled a hole into that light, which is like it'd be alive.
That is what people living under corporate landlords have been dealing with. Delays in repairs, shoddy repairs, an inability to even get a live person on the phone to get help. And this is becoming more and more of a common issue as private equity firms gobble up what's left of the residential real estate market and turn homes that ordinary Americans would typically buy into rental properties. They want to monopolize the rental market, and the way that they're doing that is buying up these homes, the one and only way left for ordinary Americans to build wealth, and they're just transitioning them into rental properties that they don't really take care of. So a 2017 study published by the Federal Reserve of Atlanta found that corporate landlords, especially large institutional investors, were far likelier than other owners to evict their tenants. And that's absolutely true. In fact, if you take a look at what went down in 2020 during the coronavirus pandemic, as the federal government had implemented moratoriums on evictions, these private equity firms were still evicting people. They were just completely, brazenly, transparently avoiding, neglecting, ignoring that law. They didn't care, did not care. And have there been any consequences for it? Of course not. So they're more likely to evict. They're far more harsh in terms of their rental agreements. Aside from traumatic actions like evicting people from their homes, these corporate landlords also maximize profits by cutting back on amenities like parking, for instance. They make their tenants pay their rent through third-party processors, which add additional fees. So not only are you paying your rent, you're also paying $5 to $10 in fees every month just so this third party can process your payment. There's that. They also draft insanely restrictive leases and charge all sorts of penalties if their tenants slip up even a little bit. So in 2014, researchers from the Right to the City Alliance surveyed tenants of one major corporate landlord in Los Angeles and Riverside counties. Nearly half had experienced plumbing problems. 1/5 said that their unit had mold. 18% reported a leaking roof. The corporate owner remained distant from these troubles and from tenants who might want to complain face to face because its main office was an average of 35 miles away from its LA properties. If you want to drive 35 miles in LA traffic, you're spending your whole day in traffic pretty much. So getting an actual person to talk to about whatever is going on with your property, whether it's a plumbing issue or something else, is nearly impossible in this type of setting. Now, I want to go to this next video because it helps you understand. I mean, it's anecdotal, but it helps you understand just how brutal it is to live under these corporate landlords.
Itsy bitsy spider.
The same landlord is being sued by the parents of Brielle Nicholson, saying her persistent asthma was caused by toxic mold in their Florida rental home, which was not fixed.
Every morning and every night. You want to do your ABCs? She has to take a breathing treatment. No 2-year-old should have to do that.
You have the ultimate out-of-state, far-removed, absentee landlord.
The company, Starwood Waypoint, rents tens of thousands of single-family homes across the country. In some neighborhoods, as WSB found in Atlanta, Waypoint has a huge presence. The company claims an internal survey showing 99.8% satisfaction.
We are here to provide quality housing for our residents, and we take that responsibility very seriously.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of complaints that you're very slow to fix things.
do not agree with that at all.
But Waypoint gets a grade of D+ from the Better Business Bureau, citing a pattern of complaints for repair and service issues. And our ABC stations across the country heard much the same thing.
People don't show up. You sit here all day.
We've had a pretty terrible experience with this house, so we just want to get it over with.
When I moved in, it was just like this right here.
And tenants also told our stations the company is quick to threaten eviction if they are even a few days late with rent, with tenants forced to go to court and then required to pay additional fees and the company's legal costs if they want to avoid eviction.
Who the hell can look at this and defend this system? I mean, the US military, based on new reporting by Ken Klippenstein in The Intercept, please read his article on this, trains soldiers to think of socialism as a terrorist ideology. How is that, what you just saw in that video, not something that terrorizes people who are just looking for a clean, safe place to live? Imagine having a child who's suffering from respiratory issues thanks to the mold in the apartment or the house that you're renting, and the landlord just totally ignores it. The corporate landlord, the private equity firm that bought up those properties, refuses to do a damn thing about it because, hey, it's gonna cut into their profits. It's gonna cut into their profits. Capitalism is great, everybody. And what's so frustrating about this is, as we're learning about private equity firms buying up limited inventory of houses, as we're learning about how awful these corporate landlords are we hearing anything in Congress about it? Anything, anything. All you hear on CNBC, all you hear among members of the Federal Reserve is like, oh, is this inflation transitory? We think it's transitory. There's inflation, it's transitory. Stop printing money, stop keeping interest rates artificially low, and stop allowing private equity firms to just buy up as many residential homes as they want. I mean, there's no discussion about that. All of the issues that we hear about our economy puts the onus on the worker. Oh, there's a labor shortage, there's a labor shortage. People don't want to go back to work. Oh my God, it's because they're getting so much in unemployment benefits. That's all you hear about. But there's no discussion about how private equity firms doing what they're doing to the housing market has led to inflation in the housing market. Is there any discussion about policy to mitigate that? No, of course not. Of course not, because that would require regulating the housing market and placing limits on what private equity firms can do. They're not gonna do that. Are there any consequences for the slumlord activity these private equity firms engage in? No discussion about that. I mean, it's just, this is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, really? I mean, even if you've done everything right, right, you work your ass off, you work 3 jobs to pay your rent. To see Americans get treated like that, to see children suffer from respiratory issues like that thanks to mold, how are you gonna argue this is the greatest country in the world while the federal government remains complicit in this activity and this behavior? Come on, man. Maybe that'll persuade Joe Biden to wake up a little bit. Come on, man.